Good afternoon, Cardy Club members. We have a special guest with us this afternoon. His name is Tyler Tolbert. He is a part of my family, and he just got his pastoring license. He is pastoring his own church as of right now. So that if any of you guys are interested in becoming a minister, we are going to ask him some questions. So, Tyler, what does it take to become a pastor?
Well, that's a great question. And the first thing it takes is a lot of faith. You don't want to go into ministry if you don't trust that God can use you for a position, because it is a position that comes with a lot. And you want to trust that God can give you what you need to be able to do that. And it takes a lot of relational skills, because being a minister, you will have a lot of people look to you, and so you want to display a love towards all people, no matter where they're from, no matter what they believe, even if they disagree with you. And so it takes those two things, and you just gotta trust in God a lot through it all.
Alrighty, well, that is awesome information. Thank you for sharing.
You're
What are
welcome.
some good character traits to being a pastor?
Well, as I just said, I just piggyback off my last answer. Relational skills is very important in being in the ministry, because if you don't have relational skills, you can still do it, but you have to really work on being relational, because as a minister, you're a representative of God. And so how you treat others, how you relate to others, helps them shape their understanding of who God is. So it's definitely a very tall task, and you can't take that lightly. So that would be the first one, is just the relational intentionality. The second one would be integrity. As a minister, you have to have integrity. One of the best definitions I've heard of integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Because as a minister, we've got to believe that God's always watching, and so even if no people are watching, He's watching us, and we want to do what's right by Him. If we're not going to do what's right by Him, then we've really got to check our hearts. So the second one would be integrity. And then the third one I would say is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is something that as a minister, it's important for us to have, because as a minister, we are convincing people that they need to have a relationship with Jesus. And if we're not enthusiastic about that, then they're going to question if they really need it. And so that's the three top character traits that I would say that if you want to go into ministry, that's something that is important to have.
Alrighty, thank you for answering. And for the younger generation, so our elementary kids in the club, that would maybe after high school and after they graduate, that maybe want to become a minister or pastor, what would your words of advice be to them?
Well, first of all, I would say that know that it is a very special position to be in. I remember when I told my youth minister when I was younger that I wanted to go into ministry, he said, "Don't do it." And he didn't say that because he was wanting to discourage me, but he wanted to tell me that because if I really wanted to do it, I would still say, no, I want to do it, even though you're telling me not to, because it's really a special position to be in. And it's really hard. I wouldn't say that if you want an easy job, go into ministry. Some people may think, well, all ministers do is they only work on Sundays. And that is definitely a misconception. Sunday is our big day. Other churches may have another big day too, like Wednesday nights or Thursday nights or Saturday nights, whatever works for their church. But that is we do have one big day, usually Sundays, but that is just kind of the big day of what we do. During the week, it's a lot of meeting with people, a lot of I mean, if we want that day, that big day, that Sunday to go well, then it takes a lot of discipline. I've got to make sure that I carve out time just for preparation for my sermon. If you want to, if someone younger wants to go into it, I would say just make sure you understand that it does take discipline. It does take having a healthy relationship with God, because if you want to help others in their relationship with God, then you got to make sure you have a healthy relationship, not with just God, but with others as well. And then the other thing I would say is just don't underestimate the wisdom of those leaders in your life. Even if there's leaders in your life that aren't ministers, they're still leaders, and you can learn a lot from those that are older than you, that have a little more life experience, and just glean that. They know what they're talking about. They've messed up in life, and they want to help you to prevent making the same mistakes. So just glean all that and take that to heart, whether you want to be a minister or whatever. And my philosophy is we're really all called to be ministers, just maybe not vocational ministers. So we're all called to help people in their lives. It's just that some of us are called to be vocational ministers.
Well, thank you for the awesome advice and insight. Two more questions and then I'm done. And then Mr. White, if you have any, you can take it away. What inspires you to keep being a believer and a follower of the Lord, Tyler?
Well, what inspires me the most is when I was younger, I had an older brother who passed away at an early age. He had just turned 10, and it was a hard time for our family. I was only 8 at the time, but God really used him in my life to encourage me how to really have faith even when life is hard. And now that's been almost 5 years ago. But I still, when I have hard days and I wonder if I'm really doing what I need to be doing, I remember my brother. His name was Travis, and I remember just to be strong even when life is hard, like he was, even in that. And so that's something that inspires me to keep believing and just to keep keeping on, so to speak, even when life is hard. And really, when life is hard, it's kind of validation of God being real and His word being true, because Jesus said, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, because He's overcome the world." So because He's overcome the world, He can help us overcome whatever we face, and that's something to hold on to.
Well, that is awesome. That also kind of goes along with the guys also yesterday when I had said life is a human roller coaster. Some days are going to be very challenging, and other days are going to be a piece of cake. Now we all wish we could have a piece of cake every day, but sometimes the picture just doesn't throw you that piece of cake every day. One
That's
last
right.
and final question: is being a pastor fun, and how much school is involved?
So it really depends on what denomination you want to be a pastor in. So I am a pastor in the Independent Christian Church. And so what was required of me is just a 4-year degree. I've got a degree in preaching and church leadership. I went to a Bible college in Tennessee, but there's Bible colleges that offer the 4-year degree if you want a special emphasis, such as like youth ministry or children's ministry or missions. You can do that, but I really wanted to be a lead pastor, and so my major was preaching and church leadership, and it was a 4-year degree. I hope to sometime get my master's. I did take a couple master's classes just because I think it's important to be further sharpened. But in my particular church, I'm not required to do that, but it's just very encouraged, because if you're going to be sharpened, it'll just help you to do your job better. But in some churches, I know that seminaries required where you do have to have a master's, and you have to even have something beyond that, in like a doctorate. But it just depends on what church, what denomination you're a part of. But for me, like I said, it was just a 4-year degree. But like I said, I hope to further that just because it'll help me to be a better leader in what I do.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you, Tyler, for taking time out with us. Mr. White, do you have any questions for Tyler?
I don't know that I have any questions. I thank you very much for this. It was inspirational. I thought of several times during your answers there, I thought of how many similarities there are between my coming up. Before I became a counselor, I was a teacher for 18 years, and some of the similarities that you brought up, that yep, some of that is exactly how society looks at teachers, and how people interested in going into teaching careers get some of that same advice. Some of mine, when I started saying that's what I wanted to go into, said that I was crazy for thinking about going into being a teacher, and I realized that no, this is really my calling, and so that is great. And I thought that it was interesting some of the similarities that I saw there. So thank you very much for coming in and talking with us and helping our kids to understand maybe another career path that they'd be interested in.
Well, it was my pleasure, and thanks for what you do, Mr. White. Like I said, like you're helping others. It may not be a vocational minister, but you're ministering to others, and appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
All righty, Cardy Club members. Well, that is all we have for today. So hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.